Hello, first graders. Welcome to a new English lesson. Please get your literature anthology book ready and let's start. We're going to start with page 62. Remember, this week we're still learning about communities in nature. We learn about different communities or different parts where animals live together, such as the forest and at the pond. And also we learn about some animals that they hibernate in the winter, which is like sleep on shelters or stay in the shelters. And we learn also about animals that rely on their, like the baby animals rely on their parents. And we also learn different habitats where animals live. So we have the forest, we have the ponds. Animals live on land or under the water. Today we're gonna still continue about that, but with a poetry. So let's start page 62, 63.
Genre: poetry. Compare texts. Read about animals that live in the water.
So this poetry is talking about animals that they live under the water. So this is another habitat or different place where animals live together. So of course, every habitat have different animals, such as when we talked about the desert, it's very hot. So specific animals live there, like camels, for example. So let's see what we have here.
Way Down Deep by Marianne Hoberman. Underneath the water, way down deep, in sand and stones and seaweed, starfish creep. Snails inch slowly. Oysters sleep. Underneath the water, way down deep. Way Down Deep by Marianne Hoberman. Underneath the water, way down deep, in sand and stones and seaweed, starfish creep. Snails inch slowly. Oysters sleep. Underneath the water, way down deep.
All right, so if we're looking for key details that tells us about what does it look like under the sea, we have here, for example, sand, stones, seaweed, starfish, snails, oysters. So all these creatures and other things, all you find it under the sea. So this is the details, and I know that it will let me know that I'm reading a selection about that animals and how does it look under the sea. Or also, as you see, let's listen to it one more time.
Way Down Deep by Marianne Hoberman. Underneath the water, way down deep, in sand and stones and seaweed, starfish creep. Snails inch slowly. Oysters sleep. Underneath the water, way down deep.
So this poetry also about giving you information about how animals, different animals' habitats. For these habitats, we know that all animals that they live under the sea, like in the deep water, so they cannot be found on land like the frogs or like the ducks or like turtles. For poetry, what's the most important thing that, as you can see, repetition. There's a rhythm for the ending of the words that make it easy and fun to pay attention and to understand. So for this one, we learn about how animals under the sea live in the oceans, in the deep oceans, and how they move. So for example, look at the some of the rhythms of the words we have here. We have underneath the water, way down deep, in sand and stones and seaweed, so I get deep in seaweed, but starfish creep, so we can all rhythms, so deep and creep. Snails inch slowly, oysters sleep, underneath the water, way down deep. So we learn and we can understand that this is another habitat for animals that they live under the water, and they giving you examples of the seaweed, starfish, snails. Also the pictures help you to understand what they're talking about, as we see over here. All right, so let's make connection.
Make connections. How is under the sea like the pond? How is it different?
Okay. How under the sea, like the pond, the story we had at the pond, they both are the same or different. Here, that they both are habitat for different animals or different creatures that they live. So there are animals in at the pond and animal under the sea that I can see them there. But what's the difference that on a pond, there's animals and bugs that they can live on land and then they can swim. But deep under the sea or in the ocean, this is deep, way deep, and all the creatures that you find on the deep oceans, they cannot be out. Like you won't see these fish or something swimming or on a land or on a beach. We also learned about oysters sleeps underneath the water, so way down deep. That means you find them all the way under the water. But the pond, the water is not that deep, and some of the animals or the creatures that live on the pond, I can see them on land. All right, so that was another way or another selection about animals and their communities where they live together. So that's almost the last one for this week. All right, first graders, thank you. That's it for today.